Execution Dock is a place on the Thames River in London where they used to execute pirates, long time ago. It's an iron cage just about at tide level where they imprison the man to be executed and allow the tide to rise and fall over him 3 times. Pretty awful way to go. The story concerns some pretty awful people. William Monk has captured and testified against a man called Jericho Philipps, who has committed what seemed to me to be the ultimate series of crimes. He has used small children in pornography, he has kept them prisoner and used the photographs that he's obtained to blackmail people, and when the boys have reached the age that he no longer finds them useful, he has killed those that wouldn't go quietly. Pitt, naturally, I think like all of us, felt this was an absolutely horrific crime. He felt certain that he had caught Philipps and could prove the evidence against him. But he was caught totally wrong-footed when the trial came and his friend Oliver Rathbone defended Jericho Philipps at the behest of an unknown benefactor. And horror of horrors for Monk, when he was called to testify, Rathbone tied him in knots. And even worse, when Hester, Monk's wife, was called to testify, he made her look totally inadequate, emotional, and rather foolish. Philipps was let go. Monk and Hester had to start right from the beginning again to prove not this particular murder, because he'd already been tried for that and found not guilty, on balance of probability, reasonable doubt, and had to find another case where he had killed another child, and to prove that case, which was long and arduous and difficult and emotionally very, very draining for Monk, because the first case had been brought by a man named Durban, who had been a mentor to Monk. He had admired him enormously, and he now has his position in the River Police because Durban gave his life saving the lives of others. This was the one case he didn't manage to complete that haunted him. Monk is going to complete it for him, and he has failed. And in looking at the original evidence that Durban found, he also discovers a very great deal about Durban that he did not know and would not want to know. He feels intrusive, ungrateful, and his illusions begin to fall apart. And yet he cannot allow somebody like Jericho Philipps to go free. He has no question in his mind that if Philipps was guilty or not of the first murder, he certainly is guilty of all these other things. Is there anything more vile than to use children in pornography and prostitution in order to blackmail people of power? It has to be stopped. This is going to come at a high personal price for Monk and for Hester also. But they have to bring this man to trial again, if possible. They don't succeed, but they do succeed in finding out a great deal about Durban, which is shocking, distressing, wonderful, compassionate, horrifying, and Monk finds out a great deal about himself and about Hester, and Rathbone finds out a great deal about how much more courage he has than he thought, and also that his new wife, Margaret, is perhaps not quite all that he thought. Journeys of discovery towards truths that are good and bad, where you learn that you have more power, more resilience, and more compassion than you thought you had. And of course it does end up in Execution Dock, with the tide going up and down 3 times.